which means
Monday.
we have it's Monday, which means we have how many hours left at this point?
18,
18 hours left to build a robot.
of which we're going to be working for approximately 4.
All right. Yes. So hopefully a robot will be finished by then. Yeah. I mean, at this point, the stream's just begun, so we're just gonna hold off a little bit. I got a question for you, Arnav. Why did the hipster fall in the lake?
Why did the hipster fall in the lake?
Because he went ice skating before it was cool.
Wow. That's crazy. Hope he isn't dead.
It would be a real shame.
It would.
Did you know that Albert Einstein was actually a real person?
No, I didn't.
This whole time I thought he was a theoretical physicist.
Yeah, that's crazy.
All right. How many people we got watching right now? 3 people? All right. Well, I think we can begin with some news. I will say the reason I'm hosting this tonight instead of John is because, well, unfortunately he has died. He will be sorely missed and remembered. His last words being, "Hey guys, watch this." Will always hold a place in our hearts forevermore. I would just want to say huge shout out to him. He's built many robots, possibly more robots than anyone else has ever built. How many would you say you've built, Arnav?
I've built at least 0.
At least 0? Well, he's built probably more than that. So
Probably, yeah.
he might even be the most, have built more robots than anyone else. We'll be holding a funeral for him after we've built the robot, of course, because, come on, priorities here. So, yeah, tune in for that. He'll probably be live on Twitch, assuming he doesn't come back alive as a zombie or anything. So, yeah, but anyway, shall we get on to the control system for the robot?
I think we should.
All right. It's what John would have wanted.
For sure.
Anyway, so let's get into it. The control system is the same one as yesterday, just with a new thing plugged into it, and that is this tiny little motor here. It's much more powerful than it looks. You don't want to hurt yourself with this thing. It's a Neo 550 by Rev. Huge shout out to Rev for making it. We still have to pay for it though. Controlled by this Spark Max. Now, one thing special about the Neo motors as compared to other things like Sims is that they're brushless, which means that they will have these 3 cables coming out of them. So you can't just feed direct power into it with one of these other motor controllers. You'll have to use something like, as I talked about yesterday, these things control the voltage, but they pretty much just give like a constant supply to the motor, and the motor just spins. These things require very special pulses in 3-phase power, which is more complicated than I'm going to go into specifically right now, but basically you just need a special controller for that. In this case, that's going to be the Spark Maxes. The reason we want one of these is because, well, we're trying to build a hook to grab onto the donuts, the Fruit Loop, the Cheerio, the Spaghetti-O, whatever you want to call it. This will go down, grab onto it, and then open up. If this sounds nothing like what we were trying to build yesterday, that is correct. It is absolutely nothing like it. We decided we pretty much after the last stream, we were like, did some thinking. We realized, what we're doing so far not working particularly well. Let's try something else. And this seems to be working a bit better. We'll talk more about that later. Right now, it's mostly just the control system. So we got this motor right here. Motors can, of course, spin. That is probably what they're best at. Sometimes a little bit too much, as we've recently been learning. So, when you program the robot, you can, of course, set the robot or the motor in this case to spin. However, if it spins and then it gets to where it's going, and it keeps spinning, that's probably going to be bad. The magic smoke might come out. That's when you do something wrong with a component, and then the magic smoke that makes it work, instead of just poofs out of it and then it stops working. That almost happened with us. We lost a little bit of magic smoke, although not too much, so it's still operational.
There's still enough for it to go.
There's still enough left inside there. Basically, you want it to go to where it's going and then stop. You don't want it to overshoot. You don't want it to go too fast. You don't want it to sort of go halfway and then get stuck. These are all things that have happened to us today because of trying to program it and tune it correctly. The thing specifically that makes this possible is something called a PID controller. That's basically just a piece of software that tells a motor, or almost anything, to be honest, that can be controlled, how much to move in order to reach a certain target. You could, of course, just turn the motor on, but the problem is with that is that if it turns and it keeps going and it gets to where it's supposed to go, it's just going to keep going and going and going and going and not know when to stop. Now, luckily, these motors, these Neos, have things inside them called encoders, which basically just is a detector that measures how much it's rotated. That detector can... Now, the simplest way would be turn on and rotate it until it stops, until it reaches the destination we want, and then stop it. That might work, although it might overshoot because it has some momentum. It might just keep going. Luckily, in our particular case, there's like a hard stop right here where like it physically can't go because there's a piece of aluminum stopping it. But let's say in a different situation where you want to maybe stop like halfway right here and it overshoots, that's going to kind of be a problem. You could, of course, then have something that says, okay, if it overshoots, then turn the motor back the other direction. That will make it come back the other direction. The thing is, it might overshoot again, and then overshoot again, and again, and again. It's just going to bounce back and forth. That's probably not what you want. You want it to get to its location and then stop. The way that makes it happen is you're kind of getting a bit of bouncing right now, right? Some overshooting. You might want to add some sort of calculation into the mix. So what we've been talking so far is the PID controller. That was just the P portion. The P stands for proportional, I believe, which basically says if we're really far away, turn the motor up really high so we can get to where we're going really fast. But if we're close, it doesn't have to be as high because we're almost already there, so it can be lower. Just the P by itself will oscillate around because it will overshoot and then have to go back and overshoot, have to go back and back and back. So one thing you might want to add into the mix is the D portion, which stands for differential, I believe, or something like that. Derivative. Basically the same thing. And that basically says if it's going really fast and it's about to hit its target and it's going super fast, and let's say the target's right here and it's going super fast, it can actually crank down the motor speed so to try and slow it down in advance. Basically it detects the speed. In this case, the derivative of position is the speed, if you know your calculus. And I can say, oh, the speed the motor's currently traveling at is too high, so we're going to slow it down a bit so that once it actually reaches its target, it's not going way too fast and overshoots it. So in that case, instead of oscillating back and forth trying to get to where it's supposed to go, it'll just go and then stop there. Now that's all good for systems with no friction. But if, let's say, for example, the hooktail goes down here and it gets caught in something, now it's probably not going to get caught that much. Because if the motor just can totally overpower it and just push it over to get it unstuck from right here, or let's say there's a ring right here, or maybe some gravity's holding it down. Basically, the motor's turned on, but the motor is powerful enough to get to where it's going, but currently the amount of power that it's being programmed to output just isn't enough. It will effectively just get stuck in a certain position, and that's kind of bad. So that's where the third part comes in, the I, which stands for integral. The idea is that, hey, if it's trying to get to this position, let's say right here, and it's stuck down here, over time it's going to add more and more and more and more power until eventually it overcomes what was blocking it. So if it gets stuck, it will be more powerful, more powerful, more powerful until eventually it overcomes whatever was blocking it, and it'll pop out, and then it'll move towards its position, and then hopefully the differential will kick in and say, oh, we're going really fast to where we're supposed to go, let's slow down right now, and it'll slow down and it will land exactly where it's supposed to go. That's the basic of the PID controller. You can take just some value that you want some sort of system to have that can be measured, and then it locks onto it. In this case, that's a position of a rotating hook for us, and that seems to mostly be working. In this case, we don't actually want it to be in the halfway position. We want it to be either up or down. The thing about PID controllers is that they have three constants. Well, certain more advanced ones have more than three, but the three main ones are the P constant, the I constant, and the D constant, which basically say how much how much do you want to take in the proportionality into account, how much do you want to take the integral into account, how much do you want to take the derivative into account when determining how powerful the motor should be and which direction it should be going. And you kind of have to tune those, because if they're not, they might overshoot still if the D is not high enough, or if it's too high, it might go and then slow down and stop before it even gets to where it was going, and then have to go again and like sort of lurch forwards. That's if the D is too high. If it's too low, it will overshoot. If the I is too low, it may spend forever trying to add up that force and overcome bits. If the P is too high, it might swing with way too much power and hit the sides of these walls really high. There's all kinds of things that you kind of just have to experiment with it, try it around. That's a lot of what we've been doing today is just going over those values and trying to figure out what it would take to get this hook to open and close to the positions that we want it to without damaging itself or anyone whose hands are nearby. Not that you should have your hands nearby a robot while it's enabled. That would be bad. So, oops, I almost hit the microphone. Did hit the microphone. Sorry about that. Would you think we should demonstrate this?
I think so.
Right now? All right. Let's get this into position. Here we have the driver station up here. Going to type in my super secret password. And all right. It is disconnected.
You have to redeploy.
Oh, I got to redeploy because Arnav's been doing other stuff. So I'm going to deploy from this computer because that's how I feel like. Oh dear, is the radio on? There it is. Connect. Connected. And we deployed. So now the code should live on, a copy of the code is now on the Robo Rio. We then also to connect with the driver station. You can do this with the same computer. I just don't because I'm like that. So let's close this one down. I'm going to be talking to the microphone. Arnav, do you want to control it?
Yep.
Okay. So in this case, we have the hook over here. So you enabled it, and turning up, down, you press the A, and it is disabled itself because of some error that we don't entirely understand.
Nope, it's because I pressed the A button while in the Wi-Fi menu, so it disconnected the Wi-Fi.
Oh, okay. That actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
There is a different error that we've been having that is difficult to understand, but yes. So yeah, basically we have a single button that toggles it between making this right here the target position and that down there the target position. So yes, this is. It may not seem like much, but we spent a lot of time trying to figure out the exact values to get this so it doesn't hit too hard, and it is still probably a bit more powerful at opening than it really should be, but that's just going to require a bit more tuning on our part. So yeah, this you'll see exactly where this is used when we go over the final, well, maybe not final, but current design for what our robot is going to be. So yeah, who should I hand it off to?
Probably over there.
We're going to go talk to, I think, Bridget and Dom and maybe Ayush. Oh, Ayush isn't in the room, so we won't be talking to him. All right.
Watch out, watch out.
Oh.
We can mic up the drill.
All righty.
That's a good idea.
Do you guys want to build or talk?
Let's talk. We can talk.
Big chatters.
Oh no, the screen is over.
Hold on, give us 1 second.
Oh.
We're all kinds of tangled.
You guys were not ready for me to be over here, huh?
No.
You gave us very short notice, John.
Well, Adam gave me short notice.
It's fine.
At least you guys didn't have to come back from the dead.
We'll be ready.
Oh, Ayush is locked out. Let me help him.
Okay.
Oh, now you're ready. Now, as soon as I have something else to do. Now you want to go. Oh, I get that. No, that sounds fine. Here, somebody take this.
See, the hoodies is the fun one.
It's alright.
All right, ready? Okay. Are we good?
We good?
All right. So as I think I heard Adam mention earlier, the robot has changed almost entirely since yesterday's stream. So now we are going for more of a forklift design.
Why is that?
So the reason that is because the prototypes we were making for sort of a roller floor intake and then a shooter and then the amp delivery from the intake it was just too inconsistent, and it was like Sunday night. And so in the interest of giving you guys something that actually like works and is functional as a whole robot, we wanted to simplify our design, simplify the goals just a little bit. So now the goals have shifted to cycling the amp just from the floor. And the reason we chose the floor intake still is because that is that's a subsystem, or that's a goal, I should say, not achieved by the kitbot. And so if you want ideas on how to cycle from the supply, was it the supply area? The source. The source. Yeah. If you want ideas on how to cycle from the source, you can go look at the kitbot. It's a great design. We wholeheartedly what's the word? Endorse that solution if you wanted to do that. But we wanted to go for something different, just in the interest of giving people, the teams that are watching, sort of a broader range of ideas on the internet.
And then kind of also, as we discussed yesterday, on top of just being different than the kitbot, giving different ideas, we also talked about the importance of the amp yesterday. So, different cycling, different alliances or alliance partners need to be able to do different things, cycling purposes, and the amp is going to be so incredibly important in this game. So
the more uptime you can have on the amp, the higher your alliance is going to score. So if you can quickly cycle back and forth, that's going to be a real bonus.
For sure.
So now to kind of get into the design, we've gone for sort of a winch elevator. We have a Neo. There's just
it's
Neo.
just the Neo.
The Neo. Hooked up to a 3-to-1 gear ratio because that's what we had on hand. And it's got 2 pulleys on here that as this spins, it winds up the string, and that, if the string was connected, would pull up the carriage, as we've been calling it.
Yep.
And so the carriage, then these run over here. We've just got these for guides. They're actually just rolling right on the hex shaft, but if you don't have any sort of guide, it's going to go all over the place, which is not great for your strings getting tangled. It's not great for the loading on the carriage.
And then also the difference in the tensions between the two might cause some issues with kind of getting the carriage not aligned properly. And then also we have an encoder in the Neo, so we're kind of using the encoder to keep track of our values. So if we have varying tension within the string, then our encoder values are kind of going to be pointless. So something to keep in mind.
Yep, and that's actually an important thing to point out as well, is the encoder on the Neo is great. And if you have any encoder on sort of a winch system like this, you can go from the rotational value in there to an actual like linear position on this. So hey, we know 3 rotations is going to be halfway up, and so that's great if you have if you want to do any autonomous, even if you just want like a semi-autonomous thing where you press a button and it goes to a set height. That's great. We also are hoping to add limit switches to the bottom and the top, maybe the top, definitely the bottom, as that allows for us to have like a set 0. So if your encoder ever gets sort of off track for whatever reason, or you're not exactly, I think actually one thing that might happen is as you rotate and the winch gets larger, the rotations on there will be more distance on more change in distance from the string. And so you're going to want to reaccount for that as your winch winds up.
One thing to note with the limit switches, just be wary when you're using limit switches. They are kind of a little bit flimsy. I know teams in the past have had issues with limit switches being bent slightly out of place. Their elevator doesn't hit the limit switch, and a winch system like this, their elevator goes all the way up and gets stuck, and then you have to e-stop, so don't do that.
Yeah. I guess we can talk about the carriage. Can we get the scoop?
Yeah.
Can you bring it over? Okay. So the carriage, Adam, or John, you want to come around this way to the front of the robot? Okay. So the carriage here, I'll lift it up, is going to ride along these uprights we just kind of bolted some four pieces of tubing together. It's not the prettiest thing in the world. You could definitely make something more robust, less friction. There's a lot of improvements you can make to this.
Add some rollers.
Yeah, rollers would be a good start.
bearings
but
and stuff.
Yeah, this is what we got so far. And so what's going to happen is it's going to start with this hinge folded up. And actually, it's actually going to start on the ground, but whatever.
Yeah.
So this will be mounted to the hinge. And then when we start the match, this will drop down. And then it will sort of lock in place via the excess metal hitting the underside of this.
Yes. A note about that, if you notice, this is not just a flat piece of metal. We intentionally bent this to about a 15-degree angle here on the end as our hard stop, so that when it is sitting flush with the 2x1 piece of box tubing there, it will have a slight downward angle, so when we're trying to place it in the amp, the note will slide off easier. Mm-hmm. And there's a hook on the end, so it's not just going to fall off, hopefully, during gameplay.
Bring the note over.
It's right behind you.
Oh, never mind. Okay, so speaking of the claw, the hook, the kind of general idea is this is sitting on the ground, this kind of goes in, and then you want to move the motor down. This kind of goes like that, and then as you go like this, it hopefully, I mean, this will be powered, but even when it's not powered, it's still on there pretty good. So even if you're, moving around the field, even if you get bumped slightly, like you're not gonna, it's not gonna fall out.
Right, and another quick thing to note is that, this kind of smaller piece of aluminum here was actually really helpful for helping us scoop off the ground for our intake. And then I had another note, I don't remember what it was right this second.
Another
Ha!
note.
Wow, that is so funny. Great joke.
Another note.
I'll think about it. I'll get back to you on that one. There was another note for sure, though.
But yeah, we're using the Neo 550. I don't know if that's already been mentioned, but these are great because it's super light, it's tiny, and nicely as well, it's got these outrigger mounting holes because the whole body of it spins. And so that allows us to do like a 3-point mount here instead of having to make something custom. We can just bolt it directly to the motor. It goes up and down. We don't even have a gear on this because I believe there's 42 steps in a full rotation of the Neo 550. And so that means, 360 divided by 42 is like 9. So you have basically 9 degrees of resolution for your position here. And since we're going 90, there's enough steps in here that your position can be defined pretty easily.
Right. I also remember my note. Not this one. So one thing that we had issues with previously, if you watched the live stream yesterday, was when we were trying to place into the amp, we were kind of going at it at a really awkward angle. The note itself was going at an awkward angle. It was kind of upwards at this angle, and it wasn't just going to fall in like we were hoping it to. This hook allows it to not have enough or too much compression on the note, so that since we will be picking off the floor, the note is going to be on the floor like this, assuming that it's going to lay flat on the floor. This hook will just kind of allow it to rotate, which we're hoping will just be able to go into the amp and drop from there without having any issues of the note kind of being at some super awkward angle. Just gravity doing gravity things and being very helpful. So that was my note from earlier.
Yeah, I guess, is there anything else to cover here?
Well,
we could talk about the plan for the climber.
yeah,
Yeah,
that'd
okay.
be great. Here, I can
So,
set this.
Adam, will you grab the hook sitting over there? Yeah, that one. Okay, John, you want to come back around to the back? John, can you come back around the... Okay. So the plan for the climber, where's the motor for it too? Oh, it's right here. Okay. So, ooh. So this is the motor that we'll be using to lift the entire robot up. I mean, you can see big old sim. I believe this is 100-to-1 gear ratio, so 210-to-1 versaplanetary stages. We did look it up. This is actually not technically a supported configuration from Vex to use this. They recommend a max of 50-to-1 for this stage, but we've done this before. We know it works, at least for our purposes, but I would do more rigorous testing if your team is considering a sort of similar design. But anyways, this will be mounted somewhere down here with a spool on it, and we'll be using kind of similar, probably thicker paracord, potentially thicker paracord to lift the rope, or to lift the robot, and that rope will be attached to this hook right here. And you can see it's just Velcroed on. It's actually a lot stronger than you might think. Like if you really kind of give it a shake, like that's not really going anywhere. for sort of a pretty, unscientific test at the very least. But the idea is at the end of the game, when we're going to go climb on the chain, we will lift this up. We will drive into the chain, and then we will kind of lower this. Yeah, thank you, Adam. We'll lower this down. It might take a little bit of pulling, but then that, and then the rope from here attached to the motor, and the whole robot gets pulled up via that. So yeah, that's the plan for the climber. It's pretty simple. We've done it before. If you look at our 2022 robot, we had a very similar design. The delivery mechanism for the hook was a little bit different. It was like a linear slide where we had a piece of PVC inside of a 1x1 tube covered in white lithium grease. I would not recommend that strategy, and you can definitely go check out our videos on why you should not do that. But yeah, we've done a similar thing in the past. We know this works, and we're trying to show, we're trying to get a robot together. So that was the driving principle there.
Absolutely.
Anything else to talk about? Do you have any questions in the chat? No?
No questions at all.
There are about 2 viewers.
Okay, cool.
One of them's me.
One of them's you. Nice. Perfect. Well, anything else we want to talk about from the rest of the group?
I wouldn't mind talking about like the thought process behind shifting our goalposts so drastically.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing to talk about.
Yeah. Put this down.
I can steal a mic.
You want to, steal a mic.
If you guys want to keep working so that we don't waste time, I think. Bridget, do you want to talk about it too?
I can talk a little, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We can literally just like we can go to the other room. We can stay in this room. It might be loud.
Do we have that room?
It's just open. It's like 6 p.m. on it.
That's fair. I didn't know what they were doing.
Nah, it's just open. I don't think the lights are even on over there. So
Either way.
They're all gone.
all right.
Let's just go
We
in
can
there.
migrate.
Yeah.
Doo-doo. Field trip. Here we go.
Ooh, seeing the hallway of the FR.
Also go out into the atrium just because it's
Ooh.
pretty.
Atrium?
Big atrium.
Atrium?
Atrium. Could be atrium time. Oh, as soon as I said atrium, we gained a view.
Wow.
That's a 50% increase.
Wow, that is kind of crazy. This pole is a little too
Huge.
tall.
Huh?
This pole, this piece of churro.
Trade?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Great. Awesome.
I think I just like the churro because it's funny.
I liked the file yesterday.
Oh yeah.
I
the
enjoyed the file.
I almost grabbed I couldn't find it.
I used it earlier. That's
Why
how I
would
made
you use it for something other than a microphone?
I was making a clock every time. Every time that thing
Yeah,
gets
that's
me.
weird.
Every single time
It's just
I
a
pass
mannequin.
that. No, it
actually,
gives
when I
me a
drive
jump
into
scare.
work, on Getty's, there's just a mannequin,
Where-
like a fully dressed woman
What?
on yeah, it's like by
Where?
someone's driveway. You ever drive on Getty's?
Which part of Getty's? I live on Getty's.
Not the part you live on.
No, I know the other part.
Yeah.
But like, which crossroads are we talking?
I don't
roughly?
know. If
I'll
you
just
like,
have to drive on Getty's.
just like the whole way. Go into downtown Ann Arbor.
I'll do that.
Anyways, Adam, you're gonna. Thank you, Adam.
Or are we gonna sit like? We want
we
to do
can
talk show.
We can sit. We can wander. We can stand. We can gaze up at the
Oh.
lovely
Staircase?
It's a nice staircase.
It is a nice
I
staircase.
feel like it's a
I think we-
little bit excessive. If we're being honest, it's not particularly space efficient.
But it's pretty.
That's true.
I enjoy it.
I mean, that's all we needed. You know what I noticed the other night is that it makes a checkerboard pattern up here.
Whoa.
You know?
A little. Yeah.
Because they've got like the different.
Yeah. That's really interesting.
I can't really articulate that well,
Okay.
but that's all
All
right.
right. Maybe we want
can
to sit.
sit.
I think talk show.
Yeah, I think
style.
big talk show style. Get a chair for our wonderful.
Yeah, so that you don't just have to
Yeah,
stand.
I don't want Adam to have to stand. I think that's about the right distance.
Yeah.
Surely we got that much range.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh yeah, glad to be here.
How are you today?
You know what? I'm good. A
How's
little
it-
tired.
A little tired?
A couple hours in at this point.
I mean, how many hours in are we? What is it? 6:30?
ish.
6:30 on Monday, which puts us 24, 48 plus 6 is about 54.
Yep.
So we got 18 hours.
Something like that.
Wow. I mean, that's so much time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, you can do with 18 whole hours. Build a robot.
Build a robot.
You build like 2 robots with that much time. Are you kidding me? Honestly, we're kind of spoiling ourselves.
No
I
kidding.
mean-
But speaking of time or lack thereof.
Yeah.
Let's talk about why we changed our strategy a little bit.
Yeah. So Dom touched on this earlier. He said that pretty much all of our prototypes were not working. And I think that kind of bears out, especially yesterday on stream. We tried to demonstrate a couple times, and even when we did the demonstration, you could really clearly see we were giving it every possible advantage.
Yep.
And then some.
Yep.
And then cheating a little more. And then it
Yeah.
kind of worked.
It worked just enough to give us a little bit too much hope.
Yep. Yep.
We did definitely exhaust the option, which I think was a good learning experience for us all.
I agree. And it can definitely be a really great learning experience for teams, especially teams who will have more time than we do.
Yeah.
You should use it.
Yes,
Please. Throw something together, try it. If it works, that's cool. Make sure it really works, because we thought ours worked, and then, wow, we were wrong.
Yeah.
And I'll be
Thorough
wrong
testing
again.
is so important.
Yeah. I mean, especially if you can test it, if you can test it on an actual robot, too, that's just invaluable.
Even if
Because-
it's just a kit of parts chassis
Yeah.
or something along those lines.
Yeah.
It's very valuable because humans actuating something is
Not the same.
so vastly different.
It's not the same. You imagine how bad that machine would have been if we'd actually put it on a drivetrain and then tried to use it against other robots too.
Yeah.
We probably wouldn't have been able to play the game even at all. And so that's something that's very valuable to know, because, teams only have 2 competitions.
Yeah.
If you have something put together and it's pretty complex, realistically, you can't just change the whole robot day of. You're going to need, tentatively, I'd say a week. Most teams are probably going to need a week, or at least a couple nights.
For sure.
I think I've seen it before where teams
I've
have
definitely seen it before.
done big remodels. Let's say at States you have an extra day, or at Worlds you have an extra 2. Actually changing at Worlds, that'd be crazy. that would actually be insane. Taking for Worlds and then going, actually this is all garbage. But
But yeah, so exhausting your options is so very important, especially early on. Definitely spend these early couple weeks or week and a half or however long your team plans on prototyping and testing. Really exhaust your options. Try not to get stuck in a rut with the same thought process. Don't just pick one idea that works and run with it super hard. Make sure you're kind of going different routes, but thoroughly checking each one.
Yeah.
I think that's really important.
I also do want to encourage teams to definitely shoot way higher than we have. Originally we had wanted to play almost the entire game. And when I say that, I mean we wanted to interact with almost every element of the game, picking up game pieces from any reasonable place they would ever be located, that being the ground or the source, scoring in both of the primary goals, being the amplifier and the speaker, and completing the end game, which is, of course, climbing on the chain. And we had to really rein that back in. We removed about half of those requirements that we originally looked at. And the reasoning for that, Dom also mentioned, is because if what teams really want is to see an example of a good way to interact with the speaker, well, the kit of parts bot, the kit bot this year that First
Yep.
has provided is a really great example for how you can score. They offer you from the subwoofer. Is that what it's called? The subwoofer. The thing on
The thing underneath?
The thing. No.
Speaker?
No,
The
no,
thing-
No, the thing underneath the speaker.
The subwoofer.
Yes, I was right. They offered you a great way to score from the subwoofer. And we were planning on scoring from the subwoofer too, and we didn't honestly have a great way to improve on that.
Right.
The only thing that we could have really claimed is that maybe our cycle time would be a little bit lower, because we wouldn't have to turn around, and theirs is tank drive and ours is tank drive. But it's a mundane improvement, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah. Definitely just
Sorry, we have a visitor.
apologies.
Oh, look at that! Look at that,
Yes.
guys!
Make
Look
sure
at that.
you are
Dom
wearing
walked
safety
all
glasses.
the way across this massive building because he knew that even though no one was watching, safety glasses are very important.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dom. An inspiration to us all. That's why he's the president. That's why we elect him every year. We're going to elect him next year after he graduates, too.
Yep.
Isn't that right?
For sure.
Absolutely. Dom for president. Forever.
He's not allowed to leave.
Oh, no. He doesn't get to graduate. He'll get his degree, but, he's going to be a grad student. He's going to be like, oh, shoot, I really want my PhD in building robots.
Well,
He's getting out
the
with
first
Connor.
alumni also counts for college alumni.
Yeah, he's still an alumni.
Yeah,
Think about it.
that's true.
We're never actually not going to be first alumni. Like, once you do it once and then you start graduating anywhere, you're just in. Like,
Yeah.
it's... And ours is in Michigan, too. So, like, that's a big state.
Yeah,
Kind of covers everybody.
yeah.
Michigan State also kind of covers everybody. They kind of stole our name, though. But much love to Michigan State. Much love.
All right.
Actually, do we know if they're doing an Ri3D this year?
They are not.
They're
as
not?
far as I know.
Bummer.
We did talk about this yesterday, I believe.
Shoot. Oh, yeah, we did. I did talk about this.
Yep.
That's fair.
So,
Another reason that it's real and it's worth mentioning, we do have a smaller team this year.
there have been...
Because of that, it is a little bit more tricky for us to go down as many routes as we might otherwise want to. We kept our testing pretty limited. We only looked at a couple different solutions to the problems that the game presents. For teams that are smaller and are in a similar spot to us, I think that this the advice still stands. Definitely try to prototype as best as you can and do it as quickly as possible. Because
Cardboard is a great resource for prototyping. Wood
Yeah.
is a great resource for prototyping.
Yeah.
Obviously, advance the ones that have
yeah. If
kind
if
of
it looks
positive
like it could work,
outlooks.
then go to a better prototype.
Go through stages with your
Yeah.
prototyping.
Yeah, cardboard. Then if you have wood, maybe make it out of wood.
Yep.
If that looks like it's pretty good, put some numbers down. Try and do it out of some scrap metal if you have scrap
Yep.
that you don't necessarily need.
Or old field pieces if you have any spare.
Old field pieces.
Old
Yeah.
Lexan from
Yeah.
fields.
Once you
anything
can get
that.
a really, really accurate measure
Yeah.
of I'm confident this will work. Then it's probably a good time to really finish it.
Yeah, for sure.
Get because if you spend, let's say, 2 weeks making the perfect CAD model, only to find out that your perfect CAD model actually doesn't work, you're gonna have a rough time.
You can only do so much in CAD.
That is true.
CAD is a great
It's
resource.
beautiful.
It is a
Everything's
wonderful
so
resource.
pretty. It works so good in CAD.
Yeah, it
Everything
always works better
it
in
works
CAD.
so great in CAD. Our robot worked great in CAD.
It did.
The
The geometry in
Oh.
our CAD model.
Yeah, Dom was cooking with that one.
Yeah,
Let me
for
tell
sure.
you, had some nasty angles.
Yeah, it was so fun, so much fun. I love geometry, but
Everybody.
so yeah, I think that at this point, we definitely, it was a long discussion on whether or not we were going to switch routes.
Yeah.
We were all in favor of it, I think,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
It gets to the point in seasons, whether you're doing it in 3 days or 6 weeks,
True.
where you might feel defeated. Things might not be working. It's a little bit of a struggle, trust me.
Yeah.
We know. But just kind of got to make sure that you're pushing through. And just because one thing doesn't work doesn't mean the next thing's not going to. Going to a simpler design is not necessarily a bad thing,
And, right, I feel like it's also worth mentioning that most teams go to 2 competitions,
Yeah.
right? And while I would never say that you should just give up on your first competition, if it looks like at your first competition that you don't have all the tools you need for your robot to succeed, that's okay, Especially if you're in an early week, week 1, week 2, even week 3, that's still fine. You can always make changes to your robot. Now that we don't have bag day anymore,
Yeah.
you're allowed to do whatever you want to your robot. You could change the whole thing in between your competitions. Maybe you are in Michigan and you have to qualify for states, and you do that, but then you still decide, I've got 2 weeks. I think we could make something better.
Yeah.
That could very much be worth pursuing.
And another thing to note, your first competition is a very valuable learning experience, as are all of the competitions that you will participate in.
Yeah. First one's probably the biggest, though.
First one is definitely the
It's
biggest, but
culture shock,
a
too.
great resource or a great thing to take advantage of, if you can find one in your area, is a week 0 event. Week 0
Yes.
events are vital for seeing the field before your first competition.
Yeah.
For seeing things, really laid out. A lot of teams will build the field elements, but seeing the full scale field is definitely something that will help you learn a lot of things and work out a lot of kinks in your robot.
Most teams won't have access to this, but I know some actually build the entire field and then invite other teams from the surrounding area. I know there are some in Southeast Michigan.
There are a couple different ones in
Yeah.
Southeast Michigan, I believe.
Definitely worth looking around if you happen to be in the area and you're interested in that. I know one of them was actually at our kickoff event. I can't remember. I think it was like Team 52 something, but I could be wrong. Definitely at least one team that came to our kickoff said, like, hey, we build a 6-team field and we invite teams to come practice. Like, that is invaluable.
Yeah, for sure.
Getting your drivers, especially if you have like newer drivers, getting them on the field with 5 other teams, like, it's not the same as practice.
Yeah. Even if you don't have a large build space, and you can reach out to other teams and see if you can just go drive on some spare carpet or anything like that. Any little bit of experience that you can get, definitely take it. Work out the kinks, work out, testing, everything like that.
Carpet's actually pretty important too, because
yes,
the field's going to be carpet.
Everything
That's actually
is
why we were
very-
testing in the carpeted space the other day.
And earlier, not on stream, we were actually testing our hook grabber mechanism out here on this carpet, which is slightly different, but close enough for testing purposes, because the friction from the carpet is so vastly different. So definitely keep that in mind.
Yeah. All right. What else do we want to talk about? Anything? I think that's most of it. Did we have any questions that just absolutely needed to be answered from any of our lovely viewers?
There's the Popcat. That's about it.
The Popcat. That's not exactly a question, but I do appreciate that it's there. So I just want to verbalize that. Thank you so much for Popcat visiting us, joining us. I think Popcat was actually in there twice. I remember I saw that earlier.
Whole 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Popcats.
That's a lot more
Four more
Popcats.
viewers than we currently have.
That's more Popcats than I recall there being. That's impressive. I mean, I didn't know our chat could handle that many.
Wow.
You kidding? Wow. That felt like a kind of natural end to that discussion.
Yeah.
That was good. Adam, is there anything that you thought we should really touch on, at least in that kind of framework? You think we missed anything there?
I'm a little bit curious how you're alive again.
How I'm alive again?
Yeah,
Never died.
that's a shame.
Perhaps. I suppose it's all about perspective, Anyways, what time is it, by the way? Are we... Is it about
Oh yes,
6:42?
6:42.
6:42.
Oh wow.
Okay. Wow. Oh, whoa.
I hear there
So-
might be an event that University of Michigan students are
Pretty
very interested in.
interested
happening
in. So,
Yeah, we might.
for those in the know, it's about 48 minutes before Sports Ball National Championship, featuring the University of Michigan #1 sports boys of all time.
I'm gonna be really honest with you. I didn't even know who we were playing until today.
The losers.
That's
Big
a
talk.
statement.
Big
That's
talk.
big talk from an FRC alumni.
All I'm saying is that our sports boys are now and always have been the greatest sports boys to ever live.
Wow.
So
You're
how
hearing it
could we
now,
lose?
folks. Right now.
How could we lose?
How
They
could
figured
we?
out what sport they're going to be playing yet.
I think they like the one with the ball that isn't quite spherical. Where you throw
Are
it.
any of them quite?
Basketball is spherical.
Well, I mean, like
Baseball is
mostly.
pretty spherical.
But they're not like completely.
Soccer.
They're not. That one's really not that spherical.
Soccer?
It's like kind of spherical, but like it's got a bunch of shapes on it, right? So it's like the way that it's put together is not.
That one's a ball. That's
No,
just a
no,
ball.
I understand. I do understand.
Have you ever played
Stretch
soccer?
out to form a
You ever
sphere.
seen a
They
soccer
do
ball?
stretch. I guess it depends on the soccer ball.
Do you not inflate yours?
Well, I have one that's like hand stitched, so it's like just pieces of fabric, kind
That
of.
seems mildly different than a regulation one. I don't want to. I'm not trying to flame. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, my soccer ball is just cool, so.
I mean, that sounds pretty dope. Like, it
It's-
sounds unique at very least.
It is pretty cool. Not to brag or anything, but
We're a
it
little
is
off topic. I think
yeah.
right now we should rein it back in because we
That's
got
very true.
important sports to discuss.
Important sports and
I
important
think the
robots
score
to
is
build.
going to be like 80 points to us and like -12 to
How
whoever
does that
the heck
even
we're playing.
happen?
We're just that good. They're going to get like 18 fouls.
Do you get negative points in football?
We will this time. It's like a special thing.
Oh, they make up new rules.
Well, no. They didn't make them up. Like, they... Trust.
Okay.
Don't worry about it too much. You know, once you see what happens on that field, you'll be like, "Zam, we really are the greatest sports team of all sports." It's true.
Great.
It's real. That's true and real.
Be able to climb at the end.
Oh, good question.
Well, actually, they have a separate team for that. They have a separate team for climbing. It's the cheer squad, and they do the pyramids and stuff, and they do like the lifts. That's their climbing, and they've got that locked down. My roommate Connor, he used to do cheer, and I think he would do the lifting because he wasn't like, I don't know. I think you have to be like basically 3 pounds to fly like that. I don't know. They are lighter than air. I don't get it. It shouldn't be possible. Like, humans shouldn't just be able to like launch other humans 8 feet in the air. They do it though. They're the best. That's why we're the best. You know.
We just are the best. Leaders and the best.
In the West? Wow. They call that the Michigan Difference teams. Wow. Anyways, in all seriousness, we are going to be ending stream a little bit before 7 today, and we will be getting out of here. So technically, we're not really an Ri3D team this year. We're like a Ri2 and a half team because we're ending early tonight to watch sports ball. But that's all right. You know, obviously, we didn't need that extra time. What would we have done? Kept working on that failed design? Obviously not. That's just a waste of everybody's time.
Yeah,
Nobody
seriously.
wants that. I'm pretty excited. I don't know if we're going to do another stream tomorrow. I feel like we should. We probably should do a stream. We'll probably do it around noon. We can lock it in tentatively. Do we want to just say it's at noon?
Pencil it in, yeah.
Pencil in for noon.
Mm-hmm.
Does that noon sound good to you, Adam?
Sounds good.
Noon is like technically when we end, but also if we're going to split hairs, Dean came and did not tell us what the game was until like 12:30, maybe 12:45.
Closer to 12:45, I believe.
Yeah, and we didn't even like come over here and start doing anything until like 3 p.m.
Very true.
So
And
realistically, we could keep working until like 8 p.m. tomorrow, and we'd still not even be cheating. Just saying, because like also the sports, that's the rationale there. Like that's where we get the extra out, because sports ball.
Yeah.
Probably won't. We'll probably just be done. It's in the spirit of things.
Yeah.
So 12? Yeah, we'll see everybody at 12. Unless we have any last-minute questions, which I don't think we do. Unless Popcat. I'd love a good Popcat.
Do we have it?
Someone says love the robot.
Love the robot. Hey, I love the robot too. We do need a good. Baloney Tony says he loves the robot. Oh man, I love you, Baloney Tony. Thank you so much. That's a good name. It's got some rhyme in there. It's good.
Good name.
Really rolls off the tongue.
That's actually not it. I was just reading it wrong.
Oh,
No, it is.
It's definitely
I have
Baloney
no
Tony.
it is
Okay.
Baloney. Oh, do you
Yes,
know?
I
You know
do
Tony.
know- I do.
You know Antonio. Oh, that's good. Oh, you're good friends. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of robot, we did forget to name it. We'll do a name reveal tomorrow.
Name
at
reveal,
noon.
but you
Name
have to
reveal-
see the full robot before
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
name it.
Name reveal tomorrow at noon. Be there or be square.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not like perfectly square because this is Ri3D, so we don't do perfect
Hand
squares.
drawn square.
Hand drawn. The bolts aren't quite straight. Holes were made a little bit poorly because we didn't want to walk across the street to go to a drill press. You know, that kind
They're
of square.
slotted pretty good.
I mean, the things Gorilla Tape together. It's not going anywhere.
You know, I really think that if we added Gorilla Tape to our robot, it would be substantially more structurally sound.
Oh, we will.
Oh, okay, good.
You'll have to see tomorrow for how much. Probably like a whole roll. They're gonna be like,
We're just gonna
why
wrap
did they
the whole
even
thing.
put it there?
We don't need powder coat. We just have Gorilla Tape.
Real.
Yeah.
Like, that'd go so hard. That would go so hard. Instead of like wrapping a car, you wrap your robot with Gorilla Tape. Oh my god, that'd be awesome.
I think that we need to do that now. We have 2 whole
We
rolls.
don't have 2 whole rolls. We have like 1.5. I know we
Yeah,
have like
little-
a lot of gorillas making tape, but that's a lot of Gorilla Tape. You know what I mean?
They're working overtime.
We might. Well, I mean,
We're just
yeah,
renting
we might
right
wanna
now.
just
Yeah.
get a gorilla on staff full time. I don't know. We'll discuss it with Dom.
Yeah,
He's in charge of the books, so he gets to decide, being president and all, whatever. Anyways, we should sign off. Y'all
Yep.
have a beautiful night. Please wish our sports boys good luck. Not that they would ever need it, because it's not possible that they would ever lose. And I'll see y'all tomorrow around noon.
See how well that statement ages.
They would never lose. Never. Gosh. I'm going to watch the whole game and watch it happen in real time. Trust me. Bye-bye.